So is there a primitive root mod p? Is p on our list over there? Is p on our list over there where there are primitive roots? Yeah. So there is a primitive root mod p. Okay? So, well, what does that mean? That means that r to the m is not equal to 1 mod p if m is equal to 1 up to p minus 2. But that means that r to the p minus 1 is congruent to 1 mod p. Right? That's what it means to be a primitive root. You achieve the maximum possible order, right? But this is equivalent to saying this, and that is r to the k is congruent to 1 mod p if and only if p minus 1 divides k. K's got to be a multiple of p minus 1, right? Because if it doesn't, like what? You can just do division with remainder, right? I mean, we could do a little baby proof of this. So proof of this little statement right here. So write k equals p minus 1 times q plus, we need a name for a remainder. We already used s, right? So this is the division algorithm. And s is between 0 and p minus 2. Those are the possible remainders, right? Yeah. But now, if we have r to the k congruent to 1 mod p, then that means that r to the p minus 1 to the q times r to the s is also congruent to 1 mod p. But then this is 1. Then that means that we have r to the s congruent to 1 mod p. But then since r is a primitive root, look, if m is 1 to p minus 2, you do not get 1, right? That's the definition of a primitive root, right? So that means that s has to be 0, right? So if s is between 0 and p minus 2, but it can't be 1 to p minus 2, it has to be 0.
Wait, so by definition of primitive root, m has to be 0?
No, by definition of primitive root, if you raise r to a power that's between 1 and p minus 2, you don't get 1. Because remember, a primitive root has p minus 1 as the order, right?
That's the order, yeah.
But having p minus 1 as the order, that means that p minus 1 is the smallest positive number that makes this happen. Look, s is below that, but it's also allowed to be 0. So that means s has to be 0. But now notice if s is 0, that means that p minus 1 divides k, right? Because we have a remainder of 0. Yeah. Okay, so we've got that, right? But now let's begin inserting that into, or using the primitive root, I should say, to solve our equation. So let's write x equal r to the y. So we can do that, right?
Sure.
Because because r is a primitive root. Yeah. But now our equation, our original equation over there is now r to the y to the n congruent to 1 mod p, which is r to the ny congruent to 1 mod p. But now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this divisibility and just rewrite it as this is the same thing as saying k is congruent to 0 mod p minus 1. Right? Yes. Since r is a primitive root, I can just express my variable as r to some other variable. Yeah, so if I have a solution, I can always write that solution as a power of r, because it's a primitive root. Yeah. That's the idea of a primitive root. It generates all of the numbers mod p. Every number mod p can be written as the power of the primitive root. Okay, good. But now let's observe that this means that n times y is congruent to 0 mod p minus 1. Because if the base is mod p, then the exponent is mod phi of p, which is p minus 1. Right? And I'm just thinking of that 1 as like r to the 0. But we're also kind of using this right here. So now look at this. Now we've got a rule for when something like this has an equation. So I'm reusing n here just for this like recall, this like video quiz. So has a solution if and only if what? GCD of A and B is 1. No. GCD of AN divides B. In which case, yeah, in which case we have GCD AN incongruent solutions. I won't put incongruent, but it's incongruent solutions. So now look at our scenario right here. Is this satisfied?
B is 0.
So let's note that GCD of n and p minus 1 divides 0. Right?
Yes,
Because everything divides 0.
Yeah.
Right? So that tells us there are GCD of n p minus 1. I'm going to call this D total solutions. Yeah. So we can actually write them down pretty easily. So easily I have to check my notes. There's R to the p minus 1 over D. There's R to the 2 times p minus 1 over D, all the way up to R to the D minus 1 times p minus 1 over D. So X is one of those. So notice the solutions here are going to be 0, p minus 1 over D, all the way up to D minus 1 times p minus 1 over D. Those are the solutions for Y.
Because that's what we set y.
Look, we've got this. So note if y equals, do we need a letter?
Z.
K p minus 1 over D, then n times y is equal to n times k times p minus 1 over D, right?
Yes.
Now p minus 1 over D is an integer because D is a divisor of p minus 1, right?
Yes.
Now n over D is an integer because D is a divisor of n, because it's the GCD of n and p minus 1.
Yes.
Right? But now, if this is an integer, then that means this whole thing is a multiple of p minus 1. In other words, it's 0 mod p minus 1.
Yes.
So that means all of those are solutions. And now let's show that they're incongruent. Incongruent. Let's say that k p minus 1 d is congruent to L p minus 1 d mod p minus 1. Okay? So what does that mean? That means that p minus 1 divides k minus L times p minus 1 over d, right?
Yes.
Now, p minus 1 over d is an integer, right?
Yeah.
P minus 1 over d is an integer, and it's co-prime to p minus 1, I think, just because you're dividing out, like,
GCD.
yeah. And so that means that p minus 1 has to divide k minus L. So this is going to be equivalent to k minus L times p minus 1 over d is equal to p minus 1 times t, for instance, right? Now you can just cancel p minus 1 on both sides, and we're left with k minus L is equal to, sorry, k minus 1 over d is equal to t, right?
Right, and T for T.
Oh, but look, that means that k minus L is, well, actually, let's like be super thorough. K minus L over d equals t, but that means that k minus L equals td, right?
Yes.
But that means that k is congruent to L mod d, right?
Right.
That gives, so that means that if they're congruent, then k is congruent to k is congruent to L mod d. Well, look at this, like all of these are incongruent because those coefficients out front are incongruent mod d, right?
Because they're all the values between 0 and D.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense.
So now all of these are incongruent for y, right?
Yeah.
But that means that when we exponentiate them, so x equals 1, which is r to the 0, and then r to the p minus 1 over d, r to the d minus 1 times p minus 1 over d. So when we exponentiate them, they're still incongruent. That's because r is a primitive root. If any of those are congruent mod p, then that would prove that r has a smaller order, but we know that it doesn't have a smaller order.